Hi everybody, it's Steve McGowan here from Brandworkz. We're just waiting for a few people still to join, so I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes and then we'll kick off the webinar for you. Thanks very much. Hey everybody, hi and welcome to this short webinar. Should last 20 minutes or so on how to deliver a consistent brand experience within the financial services marketplace. My name is Steve McGowan. I'm Head of Business Development here at Brandworkz and I'm delighted you could join us this afternoon. So just to kick off, just a couple of housekeeping things. We've put you all on mute so that we don't have any additional noise throughout the webinar. But if you do have any questions or comments, then please use the text option provided on your screen and we'll do our best to answer any of those questions at the end. If there are too many for us to get through, then of course what we'll do is take those away and get back to you as soon as possible. Please do also take the opportunity to connect with us on social media. We are on Twitter at Brandworkz World. We have a company page, of course, on LinkedIn, so just search for Brandworkz in there, and I'd be delighted if you link in with me directly as well, so search for Steve McGowan. We've also got a company page on Facebook, and again, just search for Brandworkz. If you're thinking of making a tweet on today's event, and that would be great, then please use the hashtag for today's webinar, which is hashtag #BrandExperience. Cool, okay, so let's kick off with the webinar now. So let's first of all define what we mean by brand experience. So in marketing, we are after all one thing, space in a consumer's mind. Consumers put certain brands above others, and in return, they expect them to deliver on their values and promises. So when we at Brandworkz talk about brand experience, we mean it to be the marriage of brand promise and customer experience. We firmly believe in a world where marketers can influence their whole company to understand that brand promise and provide customers, therefore, with an extraordinary brand experience. Brand experience, by the way, is the interaction your customers have with your brand at every touch point. So whether that's in branch, over the phone, online, etc. But that brand experience is not just the responsibility of your call center staff or your frontline team. Every single person in your business is responsible for and can affect that brand experience. So consumers see brands as seamless entities that should meet, if not exceed, their expectations. And brands that don't deliver on this, they don't deliver this joined up and consistent brand experience, they risk breaking the consumer promises. And of course, in a competitive marketplace like we're all in today, that can spell disaster. In no more industries is this true, of course, than within the financial services sector, because trust, the issue of trust, is paramount, and that's both in the B2C and the B2B areas. So brand experience matters more than it ever did. The choice of brands within today's market has grown exponentially over the years, and due to this, the expectation and demands from customers will only continue to increase. And ultimately, it's that customer journey that's now acknowledged as defining your brand. If a consumer doesn't feel a connection with the brand, then it fails to make it into their consideration set. So our contention is that internal buy-in to the brand is critical. At Brandworkz, we believe that it's impossible to create this connection with your customers until all of your employees internally have bought into the brand promise. You know, if marketing is busy communicating, let's say they're just selling high quality financial products, but your counter staff aren't sufficiently trained, or human resources are struggling to find and retain the right talent, then it's no wonder that brand values and that resulting brand experience come unstuck. Employees at all levels in your organization, and especially your third-party partners, which I know a lot of you use in the form of agents and consultants, they need to be educated and understand the vision and the direction for your organization and your brand. Every department or individual, no matter what their role, contributes in some way to creating that value for the customer. So before we go any further, what I'm going to do is launch a poll question that we can address today. I'll give you a few seconds to answer it. Have you experienced the challenge of aligning internal teams to your brand promise? So while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about how we're going to put this in today in the context of real examples. So we're going to talk about a few of the customers that we work with already within this sector. I'm going to cover off Aon, who are a risk management, insurance and investment banking business, Aetna, who are an American healthcare insurance company, and Rathbones, who are a provider in the UK of wealth management services for private investors. And we're going to show you in a demo how they use brand management technology to align and educate internal teams, to share and distribute brand compliant content, and to automate these processes. And during the webinar as well, we're going to try and give you 3 key takeaways from what we've discussed during the time. Okay, so before we go on, I've got the results of the poll here, and it looks like it's just over 80% of you have found it hard to align internal teams. So it's definitely a problem, which is good news because it means the content now makes a lot of sense going forwards, and we can address and find out how to solve that problem. Okay, so let's go into the client examples that I discussed, and we'll try and make this real for you. Aetna, we'll start with them. They're a health industry business. They don't come much bigger than this client. They've got 40,000 employees and nearly 40 million individual customers. This is a B2C prospect. After a change in regulation in the US healthcare industry, the company recognized that it needed to refresh its image in the marketplace. And this resulted in a completely refocused strategy and a brand promise that was now all about helping people make the choices they need for a healthy life. This was pretty revolutionary at the time. It was in an industry that, let's face it, is better known for businesses being built on price, product, and customer inertia. But Aetna pioneered a new way of engaging customers in their industry, and it was imperative that everyone in their business, no matter what their role, had to understand how to deliver against the new values and positioning. So it was quickly clear that a dedicated and centralized platform would be essential to getting all their staff on board, especially given the sheer number of employees in disparate offices. The Aetna Brand Center is what the business uses to align their massive internal teams behind its brand, both then and today. The brand promise, values, and vision have been placed right at the heart of the business, and they use the site to educate users and bring them in line behind the brand. It gives all Aetna employees the information and the tools they need to deliver on that outstanding brand experience. The site, as you can see, is configured for their specific business setup, from the on-brand look and feel, fully reflecting their own brand values, and to the site structure, and even to the content tagging facility that enables users to find the right images and documents quickly via the search capability. Being able to access the right materials, of course, and the right content at the right time that are on-brand and consistent is vital for everyone across the business. So logos, images, and artwork are now at their fingertips, along with recent advertising campaigns and even examples of best-in-class marketing materials, all supported by whatever digital format you're using at the time. Meanwhile, the content management system keeps the guidelines constantly up to date. So the whole workforce has been inspired to build a company with a strong, clear and high value brand. So let's take a look at how they've actually done. There's been a huge uptake amongst their staff. 20,000 people, so they remember that's half the workforce, have registered themselves as users. And those people are downloading more than 5,500 marketing and brand assets from the system per month. So this has hugely boosted the consistency of marketing output. And ultimately, Aetna have empowered their people to have that flexibility to grow with the business in the long term. And that brings us to our first takeaway today. Educate every individual employee so that they're aligned to the brand. When you give people the tools they need to do the jobs faster and more effectively, you really encourage people to embed the brand into their everyday jobs, and you enable them to deliver that right brand experience consistently. It doesn't matter how light their touch with the customer. It's important that every time the brand is seen, it works. So let's move on now to Aon. These, of course, are the world's leading provider of insurance and risk management services. They're also the global leader in human capital and management consulting. They're actually headquartered in London. They employ over 72,000 people across 500 offices, and they operate in 120 countries. So this is truly a global organisation with all of the structural issues that brings. During a program to update their company's brand standards, they realised that they needed to align their 72,000 employees to this new brand to get them on side with the updated look and feel, and start the journey for them to becoming one united brand, which they hadn't been previously. So they implemented a new site called Brand Matters. This is the central hub where everyone in the business can access brand information and get educated about that new positioning. And again, remember, that's regardless of their role. Everything that's needed to clearly and consistently drive awareness and understanding of this new unified Aon brand can be found in this brand management site. It isn't enough, however, only to educate staff about what the brand stands for. It's equally important to tell staff how to express the brand so that they make the brand assets and the content available alongside the brand guidelines. Marketing personnel globally can also access materials they require. Staff can get hold of logos, for instance, in the right format. The HR team can find resources to educate new staff members about the brand standards, and designers can find templates they need and view how-to videos on creating marketing materials. So the site ensures that the Aon persona is reflected in every external touchpoint and brand experience. The business has an established reputation for being focused on clients by bringing that consistent brand voice and personality to all of their communications. They've empowered their people as brand advocates. They've created an environment where they can educate all departments in the idea of this unified, consistent brand. And they've given them easy access to the materials to deliver value, improve brand experience, and influence the perception with every customer contact and interaction. Aon's brand management site gets 15,000 logins a month, and over almost 9,500 assets are downloaded every month. The people are empowered to deliver value, improve that brand experience, and influence perception, which leads us to takeaway number 2. Enable your employees to become your best brand ambassadors. Don't forget that your staff are the most important ambassadors you have. These are the people at the sharp end. The key to internal alignment is to give them a reason to engage with your brand and its materials, to take a pull rather than a push approach to brand education. Okay, so this is all well and good so far. But as you guys will all know, in financial services, everything we do is led by legal and compliance. Quite rightly too. Your people need tools and processes to create these communications in a timely manner that abides by these legal and compliance-based rules. So let's take a look at another client of ours who take a different approach to the subject. They're again financial services. They're a wealth management company, Rathbones Brothers, based in London, and they use Brandworkz to manage their internal marketing production process. Previously, they were using a paper-based manual process, and they found that this meant a lot of items weren't going through the compliance and legal requirements smoothly enough. They were also getting a lot of human error, which sometimes resulted in mistakes being made. And sometimes these mistakes can be costly. So as part of a digital transformation process, they transitioned to an automated workflow system, which includes this legal and compliance in a multi-stage, multi-branch workflow. That means we've pretty much eradicated the human error. I haven't gone into too much detail about how Rathbones are good at using the approval workflow, but we'll come on to that in the demo. So before I do that, let's just share a few of the results that Rathbones have seen so far. Multiple workflows run simultaneously in the system. It's pretty complex stuff. The longest one comprises 57 potential individual steps. Compliance as a function has full visibility across all of their projects now, including the ability to monitor all of the content that's gone live against what was signed off, which previously was impossible for anyone to do. It's also now not possible for anyone to skip a step in the process, therefore eradicating that human error. It brings me to my final and very relevant takeaway for the financial service marketers. Enforce compliance across your communications. It is possible to do this without making it a hugely cumbersome process, as people's responsibilities in the system can be clearly defined and therefore easily discharged. Okay, so we're going to show you live now how some of our clients actually use the sites to deliver that consistent brand experience. However, we are of course very respectful of our clients' privacy, so I won't be using Aetna, Aon or Rathbones live sites, but we'll show you how some of these features and functionality can be deployed within a live demonstration environment. So what we're looking at here now is a site that is based on Brandworkz off-the-shelf configuration. As you may imagine, elements such as the look and feel, navigation, metadata, user permissions and workflow can be configured to specifically suit each of our clients so that the site fully reflects the brand and the specific user experiences that you need in a system. So users can go online, they can log in with a profile that enables them to see only the information and the tasks that are relevant to them. Typically, as you can see, the user will land on a home page that's designed to provide immediate links to the important areas of the site. So whether they're looking for marketing collateral, whether they're seeking guideline information, they're looking for specific tools or templates, or they have tasks to complete, we can serve those up on the home page so that they can quickly get through to the work that they're trying to achieve at that particular time. But all of this is delivered specifically relevant to their roles and permissions, which is very important from a security point of view. Every site is fully branded with the client's brand, look and feel, so it's a completely immersive brand experience. In the example we have here, the Add Brand section contains guideline page examples that provide the user with clear statements as to what the brand means and information as to how to communicate it. We also, as we quickly showed you in Aon, have tools such as Logo Finder Wizards. So what these do is enable people who are non-artwork savvy to make the correct format choices by answering a few simple questions which they'll understand. And what this does, as you can appreciate, it means that it ensures that wherever your brand logo is seen, in whatever channel, it will be in the correct format, so it will always be beautifully represented and it'll be a positive reflection of the brand. A showcase feature enables you to provide inspiration to your teams. So whilst at the same time imparting those best practice guidelines, you can have campaign material on here. Here's something we did that worked really well, for instance. But what are at first glance simple online case studies are quickly revealed as toolkits for the replication of great work in campaigns. And that replication is made easy by the immediate accessibility of the existing collateral. Now, I don't propose here to take you through a full demonstration of the digital asset management functionality in the system, but suffice to say that at the core of any brand experience management solution, there should be a robust and highly usable DAM library that enables you to do several things. You need to be able to give people a way of finding assets quickly with intuitive and enterprise search features. You need to allow users to be educated on the correct usage of assets, and that could be with associated metadata that they can see around the rights and the terms for using an asset. You need to be able to provide appropriate download options for different users. So some users you'll give no download options at all to. Some users will be able to download the original file or a low-res version, or even be able to crop versions for particular uses. You need to allow users to be able to share assets both with their own colleagues and also externally, and to be able to do that easily but with a measure of control, again controlling what people can download, what they can see, how long they can see it for. And you also need to be able to give people the ability to use things in bulk, so to be able to collect assets together and work on assets in a bulk format. And all of these things need to be done in a way that is intuitive to people, is actually a pleasure to use, and is an inspiration for them as well. In the finance world, of course, it's vital that only the correct assets are in play at any one time. And therefore, the ability to include those rights details I mentioned before, and even to do things like enforce agreement to those terms at download, become really, really important. So the ability to add expiry and embargo dates, they should all be mandatory elements in the system. And also, how great would it be if the system you choose could automatically generate an audit trail of who used the asset and for what purpose? All of these things greatly facilitate your ability to be able to ensure the right thing is in play at the right time, and to be able to prove that that was the case as well for those people who are subject to audit. Okay, so a key feature, as we've talked about with the Rathbones example, of any finance organisation's marketing process should be the ability to speedily create, audit and sign off compliant collateral and documents. Your brand experience management system should enable you to provide for this seamlessly. In the example we're looking at here in this dashboard, we can see that users who take part in these processes are provided with a screen view that allows them to quickly see all of the projects they're involved in and the specific tasks that they're required to take part in. It's obvious to them which projects may be running behind, for instance, and therefore where resource might be needed. In Brandworkz, we're able to configure bespoke workflows and even journeys that have multiple branches in them, and even more than one workflow within the same solution. So if you need, for example, to have differing approval processes for something like maybe something as simple as a press release, as opposed to something as more complex as a product brochure, then you can have those different approaches going on. In the example we're using in the demonstration today, the first step is requesting a new project. So I apply a name to that, and then I have to complete an online brief. So what this will do is to bring up a form that I can then complete, which will be validated by an appropriate approver. The form here, as you can see, contains a mix of mandatory and is optional information as well. And for the purposes of doing the demo today, we're going to ignore a lot of the information here. But what I would refer you to on the right-hand side is the ability at this stage to add in specific members to a project. So whether that be from brand governance or business approver, communications, or Connie compliance from our compliance section, creative art workers, etc. You can bring those into the project very easily, and then they'll be alerted to the tasks needing their attention. On submitting the brief, all of those people will receive an email, for instance, that's going to alert them to the fact there is a new project they're attached to, and then they can begin to react accordingly to the instructions the system gives out. In this case, I get the option to approve the brief, as you can see on the top left there. So once a project is established, it can proceed through an appropriate cycle of submission, review, commenting, etc., until finally all the members in the correct order have approved and signed it off. And it's even possible within a particular project to be able, if you're collaborating on a particular asset, to be able to open that asset up and annotate directly onto the screen itself. So when you're working with creative art workers, for instance, they'll greatly appreciate the ability to give instructions that are very specific about the different elements of the document. And all of these comments are captured and again audited. So once an asset has been signed off, it can be made available to the correct users in the DAM, or if applicable, it can be sent direct to a printer with order instructions, etc. So we can link your printing companies into the system. What's really important is that the system retains a record of every transaction in the project. And this can be used for validating your processes internally or with any outside legislative body to which you might be subject to audit. So the result of this sort of approach to the collaboration on and approval of brand collateral is that brand compliant, legally approved material is produced at speed and made available to your brand workers seamlessly. So that's a quick run through of some of the features and how a typical financial services client would use their brand experience management site. So let's go back and sum up then what we feel is the secret to delivering that great brand experience. Number one, educate every individual employee so that they're aligned to the brand. Give them the material they need, make it easy to interact with the brand, and give them responsibility for building the brand too. Number two, enable your employees to become your best brand ambassadors. Give them an on-brand and easy-to-use platform to engage them and interact with them. Number three, enforce compliance across your communications. Give your people the tools and processes to create communications in a timely manner that follows the legal and compliance-based rules. As we say, here at Brandworkz, we believe that marketeers can influence their whole company to understand the brand promise and therefore provide customers with an extraordinary brand experience. Because in the end, brand experience is all about people. But getting it right consistently is more than just an internal communication challenge. It requires leadership, translation, training, and of course, effective tools. Internal, external brand alignment not only holds the key to great customer experience and commercial gain, but it protects the very spirit of your brands. Okay, I hope that was useful for everybody. We've probably got just a couple of minutes, I think, to take any questions. So let's see if we've got any questions from the attendees. I think there's a couple we have posted there. Okay, so I've got time for a couple. So here's a question. You've talked a lot about how marketing people would use the platform. How would others in the business get value out of this, apart from just using it to educate them? That's a really good question, and it goes really right to the heart of the subject here. So, as we mentioned earlier, it's important to make the system available. It's important that people can access and it becomes relevant for them. So people log in with different permission levels, so they'll only ever see what they're allowed to see and what's relevant for them. You know, everyone in the business is going to need to get hold of a logo and probably use images and documents and templates for various purposes. And the key is that they can do that alongside the brand guidelines so that they have that context. They can use those things correctly and align it with the brand vision and the brand mission. And we saw the proof of this with, when we were talking earlier about Aetna and Aon. Aon don't have a marketing team of 20,000 people. This is a system that goes into the business and is being used by other people into the business to get what they need. So that's really important. Make it available, make it relevant, access control it, of course. Okay, we've got a question here. How to encourage people to use the system? Okay, that's actually, there's a number of different things there, a number of ways that you can do this. I think there's some very sensible advice we can give here. Make it readily available. What we're talking about here, if it wasn't clear, is a system that you access over the internet. So that is something that people can access from any enabled device anywhere. You can also make the system readily available through maybe attaching it onto your intranet, so having a link on there. We can use things like single sign-on, so that people can be automatically logged in to a solution like this once they're on your network. And I think the important thing is so make it available, make it easy for them to get to. But also once they're in there, make sure that the content is relevant for them. Make sure it has an impact for them. They can find what they need quickly. So if they're in a hurry, they can get in and get out and do the job quickly. If they're in the mode to be learning and go through some education, then provide material that is always fresh, relevant, and inspirational. We've had other clients who can actively promote, these things for emails and roadshows, etc. But there's a host of stuff we can do to help you, advise you on that. Okay, so I think we are over our time slightly, actually. So I hope everybody enjoyed the webinar today. There's a couple of questions we didn't get to, but what I will do is circle back. We'll get to those questions very quickly and answer those for you and send them over to you as a group. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you have any additional questions or thoughts that occur to you. We've put on the screen now the email address, phone number, and website. And please don't forget to get involved with us on social media, where we look forward to connecting with you there. We are going to be we recorded the webinar this afternoon. We're going to be emailing you a copy of that after the event today. So it just remains for me to thank you on behalf of the Brandworkz team. It's been great to have you attend. I hope it was useful for you, and we very much look forward to having a chat with you and perhaps seeing you at the next webinar, details of which we will be publishing shortly. So thanks very much, everybody.